another budget. And the big headline in the financial services world has been the scrapping of the lifetime and annual allowances for pensions. Now, only around 10% of our clients were lucky enough to have or be likely to have pensions which exceed the lifetime allowance of £1 million or so, and 40,000 input into pensions per annum as it was. So that makes the proportion of the population as a whole which this affects still smaller, which I guess is why it seemed like a good idea to introduce it in the first place. It was the great rule of unexpected consequences which made it a problem, as those most likely to have pensions big enough to be taxed turned out to be senior civil servants and hospital consultants who have good old-fashioned gold-plated government-funded pensions. Many of them decided to retire early rather than lose a big chunk of their pensions in tax. The next unexpected consequence, however, is that Labour have promised to unscrap this measure. So my guess is that instead of sticking around, many of those doctors, for instance, will decide to retire now and get out while the going is good. Now, overall, particularly to the papers, it may have seemed like a very bland budget. But that's because Jeremy Hunt got all the nasties out of the way in his autumn statement, in the hope, I guess, that we'll have forgotten all about them by the time they hit us. The allowances for income tax were frozen in the face of soaring inflation. National insurance and corporation tax have gone up significantly. Perhaps the stealthiest of all, and the one that will unduly affect many of our clients, is the slashing of capital gains tax and dividend tax allowances starting from April. The latter, the dividend tax allowance cut, means that many of those with shares or investments in funds which aren't in an ISA or a pension and worth not that much, 30,000 or so initially, probably going down to 20,000, are likely to have to pay tax and, most annoyingly, to complete a tax return. And many, I'd say a majority, will not have a clue that they should. A lot of stress for many, possibly elderly and not that rich people, and something that I'm sure HMRC as well could do without. So you may have gathered that it's left me feeling rather more Eeyore than Tigger, and although I would never vote Conservative, it's left me almost pining for a return to the trusts and quasi-economics which supposedly got us here in the first place, but at least had a definite and positive, maybe, direction.